Let's see. Number 11. Elderly patient was told that he was not going to recover and he needed to have a DNR. A DNR is a do not resuscitate order, different from the advanced directive saying, I don't want to be resuscitated. And to go to hospice care. The family was not ready to lose their dad so soon, so they were all in the room trying to talk him into aggressive care, meaning he needed the surgery or the dialysis or the bronchoscopy or whatever. So, what would you do? You see this going on, you see the tug of war, and there's kind of two different scenarios. One is, I really love my dad, and I don't want him to go. And the other one is, I like my dad's money, he gets Social Security. 3 of us are living in the home, and if he dies, where are we going to live? You know, we've heard it all in the hospital. I tell you, the bad stuff comes out of the woodwork in the hospital. And I was not only a chaplain, I was a patient advocate. So we dealt a lot with tension issues, along with risk management when we need to call them in, or the police. You know, and so I had to deal with the ugliness of family. And you can't undo all that family dynamics in one session. So if you hear this going on, family trying to talk a patient into aggressive care or out of aggressive care, you know, Mom, you don't need that surgery, or what other way? And usually it's talking them into aggressive care rather than out. What can you do? And it's a little bit like, and that's why I put it piggyback toward the other issue of the nursing home. Who is the most important person in the room?
Patient.
Who are other important people in the room? Family. Who do we want to minister to? Both. Okay. And how can I do both? A mediator. And it's almost like I've asked sometime in a counseling session, do you want me to be a policeman, a mediator, your attorney, your pastor, your friend? Oh, you want a policeman. Well, that's 911. You know? No.
I immediately thought about whenever the religious rulers brought this woman that was caught in the act of adultery to Jesus, and they were pressing him for an answer, and how he didn't overreact. He didn't just do a panic attack and try to give out an answer that sounded right. He had wisdom in the fact that he just kind of knelt down and began to draw this line in the sand, so to speak. But I believe that he was seeking an answer from God. He was waiting for an answer. And I mean, if the situation would allow it, my ideal answer to that would have been, hey, let's all calm down. Let's pray. Let's seek God's wisdom in this matter. And as you're praying, just depend on the Holy Spirit to do its job, His job, and to deal with both sides of the issue. But I think whenever you kind of take the explosiveness out of what's going on here and give people kind of, you know, the opportunity to view dad's side or mom's side or whatever, and then their opportunity to view the other side as well, and let them know, look, we don't have to make this assessment immediately. Let's give it a little time and consider what's going on. So, and then if you have the opportunity to divide, you know, and deal with individuals, then that's even better.
Yeah.
I went through that with we went through that with my mother. She passed away of cancer, and before she got to that stage where she wasn't able to communicate, she said, I don't want to be, you know, just don't hook up to no machines. When it's my time to go, just let God come take me. You know, and we were angry, you know, because we felt like, well, you know, there's things that you can do. But then when I sat down and I allowed myself to hear what she was saying, you know, sometimes people have already made up their mind. They've already had that encounter with the Lord. He's already come and told them, look, this is your day. Today is your day. You're coming home, and I'm coming to get you. Your family's not going to want you to go, but by Thursday, this time next week, you'll be in paradise. Do you think if they got a glimpse of glory that they want to come back here? There's no way. So I just think that it's about what they've made, that they've set in their mind with God. They've already made that decision with God. He's already and told them, this is your day. So, yeah, the family's gonna be mad, but if that person is a believer and they've already made up their mind, it's really what they want.
Time
It
to
boils
do
down
ministry
to it.
with the family.
It's their life, so you gotta tell them, yeah.
What I have seen recently, a gentleman, a friend of mine, who was 80 years old, passed away. He'd been in pain for a long time, and he was ready. And I've seen that several times in the last several years, where people have suffered enough.
Mm-hmm.
They just have suffered enough. And there's no reason for medical science to extend their life anymore. There's just going to be more suffering. It ain't going to get better. So I'm all with honoring, their wishes. I mean, or siding with them in that situation.
How about this? This will probably happen to you someday. You work around this hospital long enough. Some patient's nurse will come to you and say, "Chaplain, can you go down there and talk to this patient? They don't understand how sickly they are, and they're full code. If they heart stops, we're going to have to do CPR on them, and they need a DNR because we don't want to do CPR on them."
No.
Now let's understand from the nurse's perspective why they would say such a thing. Medically, if this person is full code, meaning they get all the stuff, and they are elderly, and they aren't going to get better, and then they're going to have this heart problem or lung problem, the nurse may even say bluntly to the family, "If I have to do CPR on your elderly grandma, I'm going to have to hurt her. I'm going to break some ribs." And literally, they will. Families think that's too harsh of language. So I said, we're going to think from the medical model here. We're going to understand what's going on in the hospital setting. The nurses have their issues of why they wouldn't want to do that. And so they're going to, and they've said to me, "Larry, go in there and talk to this lady. She's full code, and we don't want to have to resuscitate her." And I kind of go, "Okay, I know why you don't want to do that. But it's ultimately up to her, patient. Let me go talk to her. And if I give her all the options, and as a patient advocate, that's what we did. I give her all the options, and if she still chooses full code, aggressive care, that's what we're going to do. Now, if she doesn't know all the options yet, she hasn't had that opportunity, then shame on us, we haven't given her. So there's many different reasons, family reasons, medical reasons, of why we want to do aggressive care or not do aggressive care. So you kind of examine that from all the different angles when someone puts you into this position, why you may understand their motives. Yeah.
Could I say something? We all know that I think one of the professional hazards of ministry is that dealing with the messes of other families doesn't have much positive transfer when it's your family.
Yeah.
It just shortens your fuse, I think. So when our time comes around, lean on the chaplain.
Yeah.
Listen to him. Don't try to be the chaplain with your own
It's
family.
really hard to be the minister when you're in the
You
ministry.
can't do it.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Tell me where the line is blurred between a patient advocate and the chaplain.
Well, that's a long answer, because several people would tell me, "Larry, you can't do both," and that was my job description.
Oh, you had to slash?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
I had
that.
both
Oh.
hats.
Oh, my.
And they go, "How in the world can you represent the patient
Right.
and then not represent the institution and then be a chaplain?" And the waters got muddy. And at times I had to play good chaplain, bad chaplain, what I called it. So I told my other chaplain, "You go and you do the hugging, and I'll tell what I need to tell."
Okay. So there's times when you had to be the hard man.
I had to be the hard man.
Wow. How long you do that?
13 years.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
You know, but
That's incredible.
I thought it was a beautiful wedding together. Some called it oil and water. I thought, well, every advocacy moment was a spiritual moment. Every spiritual moment was an advocacy moment. And most of the time it became
She's
positive.
smiling over there.
Did it for 3 years.
Yeah. And you don't know how difficult, staff hates you. How can you dare take that patient's side? Don't you who's my advocate? And I go, "I don't know, but I'm not it." I can't be on the side of the
switch
nurse.
command?
Yep, I can't be it. I'm not the nursing advocate.
Okay, all right.
Somebody, by law, has to be the patient advocate.
And I'm
And
not
who
the
is your
nursing
advocate?
chaplain today.
Probably the, chief nursing officer, but not me, not right now. I am your friend, I am your buddy, and I'm not taking sides, but somebody has to advocate for this.
So tell them to call Martha.
Call Martha.
Yeah.
Larry, in dealing with the family, in this kind of DNR situation, is it helpful up front just to say, well, the patient is the final decision maker? So that's really clear at the beginning. It's not, this is not a democracy here.
Yeah.
That your mom or dad here is going to have
And
the
are there
final say.
weak-willed patients and codependent patients and afraid patients, Yeah, and you gotta well, who's gonna take their side when they're not gonna speak up for themselves? And I go, I will sit with you and I'll know your issue, patient, that you don't wanna tell your family this. I'll sit with you as you tell them, but I'm not gonna tell them.
Wow.
I will empower you. I will even give you words to say, but you've got to tell them.
But as chaplain as opposed to patient advocate,
Even as
if that decision-making power is made clear at the very beginning, that your mom's gonna do what she wants to do, your dad's gonna do what he wants to do, then does that help to make it not so much a referee or debate about that, but dealing with spiritual issues?
Yeah, well, it's empowering them. And I think we can do a great job sitting there listening and empower them and helping them with wording. But we're not going to undo 50 years of being who they are.
Right.
Right. If they were codependent, we're not going to reverse that. If they're weak-willed.
But my issue is that, if these families think that they have a right in the decision-making process, or, this is
There are
my mom, this is
controlling
my
family
dad.
members that.
But you can just say, well, legally, you really don't.
I'm the surrogate, I'm the power of attorney, and I'm calling my attorney in, boy, we've had some power struggle.
And you'll have those that are gonna throw out, I have power of attorney.
Yeah.
Well, they may have power of attorney over checking account, but that does not give them power of attorney over healthcare decisions.
And that's even when the patient is incompetent to make decisions.
Seriously?
Two
I
separate,
did not know that.
two separate pieces of
Yeah.
paper. They do two separate decisions.
And in the hospital, we know those, so we defend the rights and we're
And
like,
as long
sorry,
as that
that's not
patient can make their own decisions, the ball is in their court. It doesn't matter if I am my mother's durable healthcare power of attorney. As long as she can make her own decisions, she's the one calling the shots. When she can't call the shots is then when I step in, because my name is on an official piece of paper.
And as a surrogate, her job is to do what mom wants,
Yeah.
not what
It's
she
not what
wants.
I want, it's what my mom's decisions are. That's what
That's
I'm
the job.
supposed to be making happen.
So I start with
Is
that.
that covered only under an advanced directive, or can it be specified otherwise?
Well, there is a durable healthcare, it's called a durable healthcare power of attorney, and it's a specific form that you can have.
Which can be part of your advanced.
Yeah, they can be part of it or separate, so. But there is a difference in the checkbook and healthcare
And
decisions.
that's when we call in the ethics committee and stuff like that to deal with
It
those.
can get much more complicated, much more
Get really
complicated.
messy. All right, let's move ahead. Well, patient asks you to go to the department store to get them some special warm socks and handed you the money.
No.
No. No.
Okay.
If you go to the nurse's station, they have little blue socks in the storeroom, or little yellow socks in the storeroom for the patients.
And why should we not buy them socks from any department store and wear them in the hospital?
Why don't we take their money?
Okay, so that's
I
the
wouldn't take
second.
the money. I would take,
Right.
someone hands me money, that, if they're not a relative,
Okay,
I wouldn't take it, not,
but
no.
this
The
the
little
two
blue,
part.
the little blue socks, the little yellow socks that you get from the nurse's station have rubber treads on the bottom, which help to, while the patient is up, prevent them, to
From
help
slipping.
prevent them from slipping
I
and
didn't know
falling.
So we, the nice guy, go buy them socks,
didn't
they
know
slip
that.
and fall, and they sue the hospital.
Now,
didn't know that.
They go to
if
Chaplain
you
Bob
come in,
for
if
them.
you come
Oh, I
into
didn't know
the
that.
patient,
I didn't know
if
that.
you come into the patient's room and they have yellow blanket on their bed, or they have yellow socks, they are a patient at risk of falling.
Didn't know
They
that.
have already been
That's why I
identified.
bring it up.
Goodness, I didn't know that. Well, I still wouldn't take anybody's money though.
Okay, that's it.
Still back to the money.
That's me, I just know.
Yeah, but, yeah, if we don't know that, we might, you say, I wouldn't take their money, but I'll go down to the
You might
dollar
go get us
store
some socks.
and pay for it
I might have done
myself.
that. I might have done that.
Yeah, I might have done that too.
I'm gonna spend my money.
Yeah,
I might have done that, but I wouldn't have taken it.
Right,
If their
right.
feet are still cold, we can get warm blankets or more blankets. There's
So I
other
learned
things we can
something.
do.
Now, why wouldn't we take their $20?
No,
Never.
no,
She stole
no,
my money.
no, no.
So you go buy some socks and you bring them back change and they said, I gave you 50.
No, she stole.
Well, I just wouldn't take anybody's money.
That's
I mean, I
boundary
just,
stuff.
that's boundary stuff, that's just all kinds of legal problems, I mean, it's just, no.
So, as a patient advocate, I have bought underwear and pants and hearing aid batteries and whatever. So we have a person in the hospital that does that, you don't have to. No? What do you buy, advocate or representative?
Yeah, it's been patient advocate
Okay, so there's someone that does that.
or social services.
And you could go get their hearing aid battery and open it up wrong and break their hearing aid, and we're buying them as a,
And those are not cheap.
they're not cheap.
Larry, I just want to confess something. This happened in the hospital, and I really got in a lot of trouble. The guy who I knew very well, he was really hungry, and he said, "Look what they gave me for breakfast," and it was not very good looking food. And he said, "I said, what'd you like?" He said, "I'd love to have biscuits and gravy." So, being a good pastor that I am, I brought him a bunch. Didn't know he was going to have heart surgery that afternoon. I mean, they're piping us from Hardee's. And Dr. Pilot meets me in the office, or the hall. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Taking this to," he said, "Greg, what do you think?" Well, he knew I was coming back, so I said, long story short, I was embarrassed, but we laughed about it. He said, "Greg, don't ever do that ever again." So I quit bringing anything to the patient.
Not even getting them a glass of water,
I'm finding that.
overloaded with fluids.
If
They
you
could
should
be
enter,
NTO,
yeah,
waiting
you
for
should enter and there's
surgery.
a sign above their bed or on their door.
See, I
where
do
it
bad
says
at that part.
NPO.
I
No,
They
The whole
can't have
world.
anything to eat or
sometimes
drink.
they're not even a sign, it's just best to ask.
Did you know that Holy Communion can kill your patient?
Yeah, that'll preach.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
I know it's good for them.
That'll preach.
If they gonna general anesthesia and regurgitate that up and down their lungs.
Can we interrupt for just a minute? That's gotta go, but could I have the chaplain committee right here?
We're
We'll
gonna
take a
take a
picture
picture.
real quick. And, we actually have a newsletter in the hospital that we send out, and I'm going to submit a article.
Come on, pretty faces.
Will you take our picture?
Sure, just tell me what to hit.
Well, why don't I take the picture? I'm not part of
No, you really need to be in it. You guys.
No, you gotta do
Bad
that.
guys will get you.
I'm going to live from here, and hopefully we're there, and you should be able to zoom. And if not, I have the Kodak disposable. All right, y'all guys scrunch in.
Yeah, squinch.
Scrunch.
Squinch.
I'm gonna get right here. Now, can you see everybody's faces? We
No.
can move that back.
No, this is
Scooch in.
perfect. 1, 2, 3. Well, let's do it again. This time smile, Larry.
Perfect.
You wanna look at him? Is it too far away?
Oh, I think we can zoom it. You're gonna take out, this is my
I
camera.
didn't realize that.
We're good.
It's actually a pretty good picture.
We'll take your word for it. I'm just not sure how you review it on here, so we're good. We got two. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Here, you gotta have to go to some front page.
And glad you were here today. See you later, okay?
You go to get this 101.
Nice to meet you. Blessings on you. If you have any questions, call Martha, she'll tell you.
My phone number's not.
Give me $1, I'll give you your phone.
You'll take our money, won't you?
I'll take your money.
You're out.
Which is a good lead-in to number 13.
Oh.
Mrs. James in room 119 is a travel agent. Did you know she could get you a great deal to Hawaii? So you
No.
So you
Come up to
don't-
Wapapella, we got some nice beaches up there.
No,
No?
no,
No?
no,
But I wanna go to Hawaii.
no,
I can't
no.
So you give her your phone number and offer to go buy her socks and whatever. it
Can you get the
is. Bring
passport
her biscuits and
discount?
gravy.
New hire class. I think I can-
All right, if
If
this,
they accept us in.
This happened to you?
Hire class.
This happened to you?
oh, plenty of times. Not that I wanted to go to Hawaii, but
Okay.
employees working off of patients and,
Oh.
you know, just
Unethical.
getting deals.
It's a sticky wicket because you may have had future plans to
Yep.
go Hawaii and you didn't know a travel agent and now you know
Yep.
one.
And
And
there's
so you
nothing wrong
can-
with visiting
you can-
her at her travel
Exactly.
agency the next
Right.
week,
That's
as long as there's not a ploy,
Right.
a plan, an angle, you know, to get something because you've been so nice, as if they owe you something. And that's one reason why we do this background check for volunteer chaplains, because you're gonna hear a lot of sensitive, private stuff about these. They'll tell you where they keep their money and how much they're coming in inherited, you know, they'll, bleh. So, if you were evil, if you were bent on evil, you could use this position to your favor. So you just have to be careful. So if you're trying to be ethical, up and up, and, you know, not trying to take any advantage of anyone, but this may not cost the agent anything. May not be any kind of reason why I went there. It's like, now I know that they're a travel agent. I could go there and get a good deal just because she gives everybody a better deal. Okay? Weighing the issues. Now, in the hospital, there is a corporate compliance thing that we have to sign as employees that nobody can give us a gift. What is it like if it's food or something like that, as long as it's not above $50 or
I think, yeah, well, it's,
something like
in
that?
general, not, it has to be under 100.
Under
Cannot be up
100.
to
Not $90, but a gift
a gift,
under 100.
no cash.
Now, I say for chaplains, we need to differentiate ministry and payment. Okay? You know, freely given kind of a thing, but that there's no, and you will see some people who, that's the way they bless you. And that happened to me in my church. One of the parishioner, one of the members' husband never goes to church. But he offered to buy me a computer because he knew I needed one for my office. That was when not many people had computers. And I go, is that the way he wants to get right with God? And she goes, no, he's just a good guy, and that's what he does. You know, man, what do you think he wants? Oh, no. He just, that's the way he likes to. Okay. You know, I really needed a computer, you know. But it's like you try to weigh the angles. What, if they think they're gonna get into heaven or get good with me, or, you know, that's the issue. Now in the hospital, you know, we have our codes and policies and stuff like that. I mean, we're not even supposed to sell Girl Scout cookies, you know, solicit of any kind, you know. Bring up our business, our way to make money. You know, if we work for a nursing home or a doctor's office or whatever, we're not ever supposed to mention the hospital. We could be fired and out of here. Now, do they sell Girl Scout cookies? Yes. Does stuff like that happen? Yes. Should we be up on the issues and make sure that we're not caught on that? Just be careful, you know, so that we're not feel like we're soliciting something that is our business or our ownership or our angle as we're here. It's a tough issue. Next, number 14. You are in a patient's room and the spouse of the patient, without anyone else noticing, touches you inappropriately. The patient doesn't see it. The spouse of the patient touches you, the chaplain, inappropriately. What are some choices you could make?
You have to go tell someone right now. You have to go tell a nurse who's familiar with it,
Okay.
somebody.
Yeah.
In fact, I would tell as many people as I could that minute, and I would document it that I told them. Write it down and get copies of that, but, I mean, out of the whole bit, just to protect myself.
Okay.
I have actually had that happen.
Yeah, sure nurses
And
do.
So the best thing to do is just be honest above board, diffuse the situation. I had that happen, I just said, excuse me, did I bump into you?
Yeah, yeah.
Or just right then.
You don't appreciate it.
No, I just, because innocently, the actual fact is,
Yep.
maybe they actually
Maybe they
did
did.
accidentally bump you, unless
Yeah.
you were watching them reach out and,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
but if they accidentally, if they hit you with something, you do not actually know why
Yeah.
they did what they did,
right,
how
they
they
can
did.
deny it.
So all you have to do is say, excuse me, did I bump into you? Excuse me, did you need something?
Yeah.
Right then and there, because it might not be,
You're
when you're
absolutely
walking down the
right.
hall and somebody bumps you,
Yeah.
are they doing it because they're mad at you, or are they doing it because
Okay.
you're
I
gonna say
absolutely
hi?
agree with you.
You
I
have
agree
no
with you
idea
100%.
why, what,
I'm coming from the safe sanctuary training that we had in the Methodist church. You know, trust no one.
well, that's why you said.
Well, I'm just saying, to cover, to protect, and also I was a public school teacher for a long time, for 25 years, and it's just that protect yourself thing, you know? Just to be safe, you tell people that you trust and do what you have to do to protect yourself from a lawsuit. I mean, that just,
Yeah,
Right
but
there then is what you said.
let's say if you do tell somebody, and if there was any question in that, you have to be careful about how you do that.
Slander.
Otherwise, you're slandering.
what
this
I
person
would do,
himself.
what I would probably do, if I knew anything about the patient at all, I would throw that out as a possibility. I was touched improperly, it may have been an accident.
Yeah.
I would,
What
what
I
are you
would,
gonna do right then when it happens? That's the question.
okay, what I
Right
would do
now,
right,
they just
at
touched you,
that
they just
moment,
hit you in the
at
butt,
that-
what do you do?
You know what
I'm not gonna kick him in the leg.
You're gonna turn around and say, excuse me.
I would
what?"
probably do something like that right at the time, or as soon as I could, I'd contact some other people and say, this was just happened. You know, because
Somebody.
you've got to do it pretty quick. If you wait till the next day, it makes you look guilty. It makes you look like, you know, it doesn't look good. You have to do something. That's what I would do.
I seem to
Yeah,
recall
I would
that.
do what you just said, and then I would do what I just said I would do.
Would that be adding fuel to maybe a fire that's not even there?
That's what I'm gonna say.
I
That's
seem
what
to
I'm
recall a
saying.
story by Anton Chekhov called
I'm
Kiss.
just
Yes, he
saying.
told everybody and.
I'm coming from. This is my background. This is my background of experience and
Oh, and
training.
I've been to some of that training, I know what you're talking about, but I think that is perfect, because that confuses it. Even if it was inappropriate,
Yeah.
it's gonna stop.
Yeah.
Oh, did I bump you? Because you're not
You're
asking
calling
for
them
it.
on it right then.
At that moment,
At that
and you're done, it's finished.
Because
Okay.
if you're running out of the room telling other people, it's already too late.
Okay.
You know?
That may be true.
True.
Maybe I need to alter my statement, but somehow, at the very least, I think I would have to write it down in case it happens again. You know, this is the second time now that this has happened, or third, whatever, second time. But I'm just saying, from my background and training,
Conditional.
you have to protect yourself, and I would feel compelled. Well, of course, and now again, the improper touch thing is up to perception.
Yeah.
Okay, now, if someone grabbed my butt, I'd probably say, excuse me.
Right,
You know?
right.
Excuse me.
That's what I'm saying.
If they-
It's best to just address it.
There's places on my body that are appropriate or semi-appropriate.
Hey, Cal, turn around, can you do my neck?
But there are places, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without me getting really technical about this, it would depend on the touch. It would depend on the touch.
If you
It
want
would
to
depend on the
die,
touch and
or smile.
how long the touch was. You know?
And
You
is
understand
there
what
a
I'm saying?
reason why we don't retaliate so that the patient knows about this?
Do what now, Susan?
What did you
Is
say
there a
again?
reason at that moment why we don't retaliate so the patient knows about this?
I don't understand.
Why do we need to
Change
protect
their-
the patient?
The patient is sick.
The patient, the patient.
And they're dealing with their illness, and they don't need to deal with.
Yeah. And they may have had
Perceived
this spouse
betrayal
do this
or-
many times, but it's like, again!
Okay.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Okay.
again, the patient doesn't know.
Okay,
You don't
I
say.
taught special ed for 25 years,
Yeah.
and I taught lower level kids,
Yeah.
and there are kids who they don't know when an improper touch is.
Yeah.
They seriously don't. And in that situation, I would deal with that differently than someone who I believe knew what they were doing
Yeah.
and intentionally did it. So you have to know the person. And the situations, there's so many variables
Some
there.
retaliation is to slap them at the moment.
No.
I just
Well, we
stay
are at
away.
an advantage as chaplains where, as he's talking as a school teacher, you have to deal with the same people over and over.
Yeah.
If I walk into a room and there's something happens that's inappropriate,
You're not going
I have
back.
the option of not going back to that room anymore.
That's true too. I was speaking from my background of seeing people continuously and or very good chance seeing them again. And there's always that option that I forgot about.
You can always put on a door butt grabber. He's going, it's kind of like the NPO.
Yeah.
NPO.
What are the initials for that?
Martha says that wasn't helpful.
From a nurse's perspective, why would that be a good thing to go talk this over with the nurse? Why would she or he need to know about this?
Oh, if the chaplain came out and said something
If
to
this
the
happened to
nurse?
me,
Well, because the nurse is gonna be dealing with the patient and the family for the
and
next however
maybe
long
she
they're
or
there.
he, the nurse, has already had this happen too.
And they, yeah, they could be out
And
there.
it's kinda like, okay, we need to watch, we need to even let other people know.
Yeah.
And if it's like only me, then it's kinda like,
Must be my aftershave.
did I do something that
Just
acted like
irresistible.
I was too chummy?
That's it.
Okay?
Did I come on?
Okay. Well, let me tell you my experience. I met a man in the hospital died. His wife was about my age, not from this city, or kind of knew the area, didn't have a pastor, asked me to preach the funeral. 3 seconds before I got up to preach an outdoor funeral with 300 people there, she stood beside me and grabbed. You know, I was like, and I was stoned. I was just like nothing. And then she looked up like, have you no feeling back there? I didn't know what. I was unprepared for that. Of course, another pastor said, well, Jesus said also turn the other cheek.
Oh, no.
But there may be a time to say, I don't appreciate that. Maybe a time, I wasn't ever going to see this lady again. I think all these people came from out of town to that city for some strange reason. It's like they weren't going to be there anyway. But there are times when they're going to be around and you need to make a statement that I don't appreciate it. I went to very close female friends around me with my wife's approval, and I asked them this question. Do I give off vibes that that's okay? Is there something that I need to correct of how I interact with ladies? They go, oh no, I go, no, come on now. Be honest with me. Do I do something that say that's okay? No. Okay? But it was a time for examination. Okay? If I do something that I'm not aware of or don't want to know if I'm aware of, then let me know. Because I want to give off the vibes that I love my wife. I don't mess around. But there's something about the character of most pastors, most counselors. We're caring.
We're accessible.
We're accessible.
We're accessible.
We listen.
There are some people, I just had this conversation with our pastor at our church here recently. Traditionally, pastors used to wear robes.
Yeah.
And that made them apart from the congregation.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's more of a trend to dress like we're dressed. And we're more accessible. I'm a hugger too, by the way. And that can be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
You can a hug could be comforting or it could be an invitation. And that's in the mind of the huggee.
Yeah.
And it's I don't want to be inaccessible, but I don't want to be taken advantage of or misinterpreted. That's a fine line. That's a fine line.
And I don't want to give up all care and concern and touch for the sake of one took it wrong.
However, in this day and age, as I've said, and we all know, I just heard a story here recently about a pastor being sued for sexual harassment by an 80-year-old woman. So, in this day and age, I think it would be better if we could be safe than sorry, but I don't want to give up that touch, because a touch is healing, as we've talked about it here today. A touch, some people need to be hugged when they're grieving or in trouble or scared or whatever, and they need that. They need that.
You know, your perception is 9% reality, all that stuff. You know what, Larry, I'm thinking, our brothers, I mean, I get along with everybody here in this room, pretty much. If my pastor friend says, you know what, this didn't look right to me, and I'm a man of God, I'm gonna be able to relax. You know, your rebuke is gonna work for me. Your wife she's always your best critic.
Yeah.
You know, she'll tell me if I preach too long or not good at all. You know, I spit a lot. She'll tell me you spit too much. Breast stinks. But you know, just the idea of living above reproach, and I'm serious about this, above reproach. That's all we have our name, and the cloth is not visible, but there's an aura of excellence that our pastors around here have, because I think we're accountable to each other.
Yeah.
Especially if you say, you know what, I see this in you, and you can do better.
Right.
And if you're okay with that,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that, we're better people.
Sure.
Make sense?
Yeah. Well, we kind of ask for our friends to be accountable.
Please.
Like I have friends of mine say, I want you to call me once a week and just ask me some tough questions.
Right.
You know, see how I'm thinking. In fact, I'm dealing with this. Check up on it.
That's perfect.
You know, and that's when we really grow, because we don't. I'm not in control of myself. I can do things, you know, that are beyond my strength. So I need accountability.
Talk to me about the ramifications of calling this patient's spouse out in the hallway and just saying, when you were very clear that this was inappropriate and intentional.
Yeah, out in
And just-
private,
and
when the
just
patient
call-
doesn't know.
Out in
but
private.
I really don't appreciate that. I'm not that kind of guy. I
Right.
love my wife.
Which is
I don't
very
appreciate
appropriate.
it.
I think that's probably very appropriate in some sense. Is there any legal ramifications or anything about dealing with that, or you know,
I don't think you should go out in private, because she can say anything she wants to say, and she will be right and you will be wrong. There was a pastor in Springfield, Methodist pastor in Springfield a few years ago, who was sued for rape. There was no rape kit taken, there was no arrest made. He could prove he was someplace where he was not around this woman. The Methodist Church got sued for $6 million. Safe sanctuary, you cannot trust anyone. If I'm going to warn someone about, say, you know, I don't want you touching me, I'm going to have a witness available. I'm going to have a nurse, a woman, with me when that happens, because otherwise, it's her word against mine, and she's right, and I'm wrong. Just the way it is.
I think there's also a way that we can tell somebody something without shaming them. When you hurt a person emotionally, they can retaliate. They can say things happened, didn't happen. So there's a way you can say it and get, like, I would say, but I just love my wife. I don't want to do things like that. You know, I don't appreciate that. You know, but to kind of go, what kind of person are you?
yeah, right.
You know, it's like, well, now you just blew me away, you hurt me. In fact, I had feelings for you, and now you stabbed me. And there's some retaliation.
Hell hath no fury,
Yeah.
like a woman scorned.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like how you let them down. And you may not be married, you may not can use the spouse thing, but I don't do that. I don't appreciate that before the Lord, you know, whatever. It's a way to say that so you don't harm them, so they can retaliate. Tough issue. Let's move along. 15, a patient told you that their local pastor was having an affair with his secretary. He was about to tell you more details, so you...
Stop. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I want to hear it. Well, not now. Wait till later.
Hit the record.
No gossip. You want to gossip.
What are some questions you might have?
Did you hear what she said? Hit record on the phone. I love it. Thank you.
Who's your secretary, dear?
All right, let's play the part of minister. Let's put on that hat a moment. And let's play the heart of listener to gossip. Okay? Could this patient genuinely know something happened and be grieving over this? In fact, the very reason they're in the hospital is that they're stressed over this and they need somebody to tell them. Or could this be the malicious gossiper who doesn't know the whole story?
Well, I want to know why they were wanting to tell me this.
Right, right.
Why are you telling me?
And sometimes you can pick up on people, whether this is, if it's painful, you can see
Yeah.
that it's painful
Yeah.
for the person and that they're telling this not
Yeah.
out of gossip, but
Right.
this is paining me.
It goes back to something you said earlier before lunch about how much difficulty, they can tell the story easily, it's almost
Yeah.
like they've rehearsed it.
It's really good.
They practiced it,
Right.
and if they're just coming out of them like they're
Yeah.
pulling teeth,
Right.
it's more likely to be the
Yeah.
truth.
So to easily dismiss the person that's grieving and mourning isn't being pastoral.
And is it possible to, if it is, if we sense that it is a hurt, is it possible to deal with that person without knowing names or
Yeah,
issues?
don't tell me.
Because most
any
people
more
I deal with here in the
Yeah.
hospital, I have no idea where they go to
Don't
church.
tell me what church you go to. Don't
And a
tell
lot
me
of them are
that.
from out of town.
Right. I don't need to know that, but I'd love to help you.
And sometimes you're much better off that way.
Yeah.
You're a lot more objective.
As counselors, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we wish we hadn't known.
Right, amen.
You know, and then we need to see, and then they sing the solo Sunday morning, or they teach a Sunday school class, and a lot of burdens of wish we hadn't known too much. Well, let's move on. Other juicy issues. Number 16, you answer the phone and the daughter of the patient asks you to go see her dad and explain the gospel to him before he dies. He won't listen to her, so you,
Go.
the evangelistic heart would say,
Absolutely.
would start salivating. All right. But let's examine. He hasn't listened to her. What are some questions you could ask this daughter to prepare you? And you will go. Maybe not forcing the gospel or forcing it, but you will go talk to the gentleman. What are some questions you ask for the daughter to understand the situation before you go?
Why is he
does he not listen?
resistant?
Yeah.
What's
Or
happening?
what have you said? How have you tried to do this? Almost what was your tactic? Okay. Now, she could have been overbearing. She could have been forceful, pushy, controlling. Or maybe she was quite passive and she just wouldn't listen. So you may know, and then how far have you gotten in explaining the gospel? What do you think he is resistant to? Why do you think he doesn't want to hear it? Now let's put on the pastoral hat for her. Is there a chance of a teachable moment to help her? Okay? So there's always, I think, I
There's a
love
huge-
teachable moments.
There's a huge dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's sterile because you talk about,
Yeah.
but she loves her daddy.
Yeah.
My question is it the gospel or is there something else?
Right. Maybe he's rejecting her
Her,
life, not the
her,
gospel.
and then usually there's something in there that's
Yeah.
not
And it's not easy to hear the gospel from your own family.
right. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just reject the gospel
Yeah.
and they're not going to be receptive. And I
Yeah.
think that may be something that you deal with the daughter about.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm more than glad to share the love of Christ with him.
Yeah.
You know, it's ultimately going to be his decision. And, you know, I want to pray with you. I want you to be praying that we'll have a good conversation. And,
Remember this situation that this daughter put you in is the same situation the nurse put you in going, go get the DNR done. If you're pro DNRs and anti-aggressive care for elderly people, you're going to go, okay, you asked me to. If you're pro evangelism, Well, she asked me to. You see, the motivations are, well, somebody, why not? Well, just because a nurse asked me to go do the DNR, or a daughter told me to go get her dad saved, instead, my motivation is, I go assess, and I lay out the gospel, and I see if he's ready. I still read the room, I read the man, and, you know, rather than, well, you know, I like hearing the gospel, so, yeah, they've given me the door open.
And Larry, let me ask you about your approach. Some would go in and say, well, your daughter sent me here to talk to you.
Okay, very good question. Well, I would ask the daughter first, may I say that you called me? Oh, no, 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 no. Okay.
There it is. Bang.
And I may not do that anyway, because it may be, I knew she put you on it. Closed doors.
Right.
You know. So I would first ask, would it be okay if I told your dad that you called and asked me to come in? Oh, well, I don't think that'd be a good idea. And I probably wouldn't anyway. I would probably go, well, let me just go and make a visit, as I would to any patient, and just see where he is spiritually.
I'm gonna say it might be a good idea
I already know
to,
there's bad vibes. I'm sorry.
might be a good idea to probe her a little bit about his spiritual experience.
Yes.
Maybe he suffered a great hurt through the church, and that's
Sure.
why he's so standoffish to receive.
Sometimes we need to get them beyond that. Okay, they're really not resistant to Christ; they're resistant to the church or Christians. Let's move along here. Number 17. A patient who attends church knows knows that a member, a very good friend of you both, is dying in a room upstairs and asks you how they're doing. You're a chaplain. You know about information. You see somebody that goes to your church. This patient goes to your church. They haven't gone to see the patient yet. They just see you in the hallway and they go, oh, how are they doing? How are they doing?
I would say that they need to check in on them themselves.
Go!
Go find out yourself, or
Okay.
go talk to their wife
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be my, I would
Yeah.
tell them it's not my place to talk about
Right.
someone else's
Yeah.
condition.
Why
Yeah,
couldn't
but
they
it
go
says
to-
here they know.
They know they're there.
They know
Knows
they're
that
there.
a church member
Yeah.
is dying, and they know that.
Well,
So what,
How
but
close
still,
you
they're
get.
asking you, tell me how they're doing.
for confirmation or what?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a prayer request.
How
It
sick they
sounds like it
are.
could be a prayer
Okay.
request if you want to pray or something like
Yeah.
that. I would not tell them what I knew specifically. I would not answer it.
First is,
Tell them what I know.
go visit them.
Go visit them.
Ask the family.
Go do that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will go visit them, but they're comatose. Ask the family.
You know,
Okay.
I don't know, Larry. I think I would just tell them.
Okay, let's rest with it. Why would you just tell?
I'm just, because if it's a church member that
Yep.
knows the person,
Yeah.
and they've been praying for him,
Okay.
say they're really close to death, man.
Okay.
You might go see you, mate. I would, a lot of it would depend on reading the room and say, you know what,
Okay.
I'm okay with this. Yeah, not everybody.
Now, our HIPAA rules are,
I can't.
I can't. The ministry rule says, you got to.
Right, there you go. So there, and it's.
For the sake of prayer.
There's always a chance of misinterpretation
Yeah.
too. We
Right.
got a prayer chain.
Yeah.
By the time the last person gets it, you don't know who it was. What's wrong.
Dog's
It's
head.
pitiful.
It is.
So when you tell people something,
Yeah.
they may go up there and say totally different things.
Yeah.
Heard you're dead.
That's right.
You know, and the deal is too, people's condition in a hospital can change,
Yeah.
you know, in 15 minutes, you know. The last time you saw them, they were dying, and 15 minutes later, they're, you know, looks like they're gonna make it, you know, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like,
And the way I interpret it,
There.
and the way I define, and I forget the doctor's word, but I think he meant this by it. You know,
There you go.
it's real easy.
Okay.
Now I know
Careful.
99.9% of all the patient hospital want somebody praying for them, the whole world praying for them, right?
All right. True.
But that 0.1%, you know, that can get you in trouble. Now, again, I'm not trying to bring fear. How do we get around this?
I'm not afraid to do anything.
You can go ask the patient when you visit them, if I see somebody from church, do you mind if I share this in prayer? Sure. Do you mind if I call the church secretary? Sure. Do you mind if we put it on the prayer chain? Absolutely. Do you mind if we pray for you on Wednesday night? Oh, please do.
Yeah.
Not Facebook.
And others say you know.
Okay? But when you don't ask that and somebody grabs you and go, oh, you work in a hospital, tell me how they're doing. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Folks, We only have 19 staff chaplains in our 70 hospitals. In the past 4 years, 2 paid chaplains have been fired because of HIPAA. Warned and warned and warned and warned by their CEO and then finally fired.
For that,
But what?
that,
HIPAA, the
Violating
patient
HIPAA.
privacy law.
Oh.
Okay.
As the chaplain in the hospital, you can't tell anybody, you know, that this is their condition. You know, that's once you a representative of the hospital. So, you know, if Lanita came up and said, tell me about patient so-and-so, and again, it kind of goes back to, why don't you go check in with the family? You know, if you are part of that family and you want to know what's up with your patient, then you should have a password and you can check with the nurse.
If we have the personality, I like to be in the know and like to be the first to tell, you're gonna be in trouble with this job.
Yes.
You know, so it's just beware, be careful. Ask the patient, is it okay? Now you don't even have to write it. Just ask them, is it okay? They're on the prayer check. And then be discreet in what you talk about. Ladies don't want men to know that they had a double mastectomy. Men don't want ladies to know that they had prostate cancer or testicular cancer. Okay? Just be discreet, you know. Be sensitive to what we tell and how we tell it, and how we put it worded on the prayer chain and all, you know. And some prayer chains go on the internet, and then the whole world knows. Whew. Well, moving along. A patient whom you believe is attracted to you wants to talk in private and asks if you both go to the chapel. So you,
No.
what would your answer to them be?
I would say that we can pray right here.
Yeah, what's the
We
matter
can
right
pray
here?
right here, right now,
Yeah.
you know, and there's no, and
Yeah.
let's do that.
What's wrong with right here?
Right here, right now, be good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No.
there, that's a date, that's not a prayer.
Yeah.
That's how I used to pick up women. They didn't.
Hey, so,
Okay.
that's how you got your wife.
That's it, man. Yeah, you don't do that.
That was, you know, from all else that we've dealt with,
It's a mistake.
that kind of helps us understand where to go through the scrutiny, scruples in our life, how to answer them. The next one, the nurse told you, we've already done 19. 20, a patient asked you to serve them the Lord's Supper, Holy Communion. We kind of done this too.
Yes, we
So
have.
being careful with eat and drink and cutting up food and all that.
There you go.
Now, to sum up this in the next few minutes, I want to just talk about this reading list. This reading list might make sense now. When I say, here's some good books to read on boundaries, and you go, well, I have good boundaries, until we talk about 20 points. And then you're like, oh boy, I'm not sure I have boundaries. I'm not sure I know what my job is and my job isn't, and what my role is and what my role isn't. So, there's some good books out there. How about Don't Let Jerks Get the Best of You? As you talk today, honestly, you go, there are jerks in this world. And there are jerks that take advantage of patients and pastors. In fact, they love that term chaplain. Oh, you're the chaplain. Well, then you'll help me out in my problem. You know, you'll give me some money, or you'll get me a bus ticket, because, you know, that's what you do, right? And they know how to jerk that chain. And so, how about the book Men Who Hate Women and Women Who Love Them? Did you know that there are men who actually hate women, but are very flirtatious, and women just fall all over them, and they literally hate women?
Are these listed in here?
You want their names?
No.
No, I mean the book.
Yeah, it's right here. I'll show you.
No.
Larry, there's another one too, for pastoral care of battered women, and I can't remember the title of it.
Is it Sex in the Parish?
No, I'll try and get it to you.
Yeah, do it.
Because it's better, it's about keeping the, especially what we talked about before.
Now, good. Let me know about that.
And it really goes into how to look at that
Good.
accountability
I'd
and
love to
things
know
like
that.
that, so.
Sex in the parish is twofold. Females in ministry. Ladies, you will note in your chaplaincy that male patients might treat you differently than they would the guys. Okay? And you have to be ready. I'm not saying it happens often. It doesn't happen as much as it did 15, 20 years ago. but it still happens from time to time. They'll go, no thank you, I don't need prayer. And you may wrongly assume it's because you're female. Okay, so don't go there every time thinking it's always who you are. But at times, your ministry will be different, or you need to protect yourself differently than a guy in ministry or in counseling. This also deals with women in ministry in the church, how women deal with ministry in the church. The next book, The New Codependency, Help and Guidance for Today's Generation. Boundaries and codependency are kind of that big psychological talk about how we deal with our own barriers and boundaries and issues. That if you would like to read up on that, here are some good books to get started. And like that, send me some others. There's plenty out there. I mean, there's hundreds, but there's a good quick list. Well, I hope in today I have whet your appetite to keep your senses alert. Not to scare you, hope that didn't happen. I hope it cautions you. But to be ready the next time something happens, you may have a back pocket full of answers. Rather than the pat answers you thought were always good, that maybe that won't always work. That maybe we've shaken it up a little bit to kind of go, well, in this situation, I'm going to have to rethink it. Or I need help. I need a buddy. I need to go talk to someone. I don't want to work in private. I need someone to help me through